Have you ever asked yourself what life would feel like if you weren't you? On the most basic of levels, how would a lemon taste if I were someone different? What would music sound like if I weren't the person I've always known myself to be? What would colors look like if I saw them through different eyes? I ask this because, whether you know it or not, you affect the experience of all the things around you, because you, the person you are today, are the one observing them. So what does it mean to be an observer? The definition is a person who watches or notices something. But on a deeper level, it is the one who is perceiving, experiencing, calculating, comprehending, and taking in anything as it is or as it is happening. So whether you're noticing how cloudy it has gotten, or how loud the TV commercial is, you're the one perceiving it for you. You are only able to observe things from your perspective. Ever try explaining something to someone who wasn't there to experience it? And no matter how much you try, you just can't seem to get them to understand how it was, and eventually you say, you had to be there. And the truth is, even if they had been there, there's no way of knowing, no level of proof that would tell you that they experienced exactly what you did. Here's another example. Remember this one? One dress set the whole internet abuzz with debates and confusion. I remember perfectly being on the couch wondering what the big deal was. It was just a white and tan dress, wasn't it? And my son stood up and looked at me with shock and disbelief on his face and said, "Mom, you really see that dress as white and tan?" That began a whole new level of understanding for me on how much power our perception has over our environment. If no one spoke about the color, and we all were maybe just agreeing or disagreeing on whether the dress was nice, we'd never even know that we weren't seeing the same color. So how does this affect our ability to interact with people? Someone once said something that really stuck with me. They said we all hand the people around us the mask to wear just for us as soon as we interact with them, which is that we cast people in our lives to play specific roles, meaning we produce our own lives like a play or a movie, and everyone else plays a part in that play or movie. However, this particular comment implied that these people had other parts to play in other movies, including their own. However, once they step back into my movie and onto my stage, they put their mask on to play the role I've created for them. An example of this came from a client's teenager. She said that they told her they were not sure why they felt compelled to react to her in a different way than they would if she weren't around. They could be on their way to making a sandwich in the kitchen, but if she called to check up on them, they would suddenly feel frustrated that there was no cooked food in the house, and they basically played out the role that my client was always used to experiencing. Even scientists are pretty baffled at the effect the observer has on the universe. There is an experiment called the double slit experiment, which demonstrates that light and matter can both act like a wave at times, which is more fluid, right? And also like a particle at other times, which is more like a solid. One of the biggest findings in this experiment was that it seemed that the particles acted like particles, more solid, when someone was observing them, and more like a wave when they weren't. If you find this interesting, it is definitely worth looking into. So now back to you. How do you use this information to your advantage? Play around with it. Find out in what ways you feel like your ability to influence things simply by observing them benefits you. Now that you realize that you have this power, how will you use it? Maybe first start by practicing to use it with intention, consciously. This will help you break through any disbelief that you may have, if you have any at all. It will also help you to bring it to the forefront of your mind, either way. Here are 3 exercises to get you started. You may have heard of them or even tried them for yourself. The goal isn't to get it right on the first try, although if you do, great. You have focused control over your ability to influence your surroundings. So the first exercise is to influence a stream of smoke like that from a lit incense stick. Tell it to go straight or curl even more. Tell it to go left or maybe even to move it right. Focus on it. The second is pretty much the same as the first, but with a candle flame. You can tell it to stay straight up and down, or ask it to wave for you. Tell it to go to the left, tell it to go to the right. Look at it with intention and focus on it. Make it move with your mind. The third exercise is to have a penny stick to the wall, even to stay put there afterwards. Put a penny against the wall and hold it there with your finger, and then use your intention that when you remove your finger, it will stay there. Once you accomplish this, then set new intentions to have it stay there longer and longer. The more you practice the power of the observer, the more you'll create and realize the influence that you have over your environment and your life experiences, so that you can perceive and experience, and then perceive and experience again.